Good morning, Michael.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You must be so happy.
I was like the first thing what came to my mind when he said, and we are offering you a position of senior business analyst. I was so scared you're gonna kill me.
Well, it's good to know. It's good to know that you know that I have high expectations of you.
Yes, you do. I was like, and I was thinking, I'm okay with that position, but I'm not sure if Michael would be.
I'm okay with it because you'll get promoted very quickly.
I think so. I think it just, even before, you remember we discussed that I thought it would be a better strategy for me. So I'm kind of happy it worked out that way.
I always tell people when you join McKinsey or even BCG, don't negotiate positions too much and don't even negotiate salary, because if you're good, you will move very fast through the firm.
Absolutely. And for me, it wasn't the salary or position, it was the work they do. So I really I understand why they wouldn't like person who would negotiate like position or salary, because it means that you care about that only.
No, and I agree, yes.
I mean, a person who negotiates that. And I really do care, about the opportunities it gives me.
I also never negotiated salary. I didn't think it was important.
I'll not even know the salary yet.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about those things. The salary will be very high. But the key thing is that if you do very well, the firm will just keep on promoting you. Bonuses are not that big at McKinsey, even BCG. It's about moving fast through the firm if you want to be rewarded. And if you do well, you will definitely move quickly through the firm. You may not know about this, but as far as I know, you're the only woman that's ever come out of 5 years of maternity leave and joined either McKinsey or BCG.
Exactly.
I've never seen it done ever. I've never even heard of anyone doing it before in any office anywhere in the world. So you may be the first person to have done that.
Come on.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm serious. I'm not just saying that. That's the whole reason we took you into the program, because I don't think it's ever been done before. So I thought it would be an interesting challenge.
Okay, so challenge well done then.
It's pretty impressive. It's good because the message to other mothers is that your career is not over once you go on maternity leave, right?
Right. Exactly.
So you're obviously excited, right?
I'm kind of warming up to that because I was suspicious or hesitant. I wasn't ready to be happy.
But now you're happy.
I'm kind of warming up to the idea.
That's good. Look, you worked very hard. You deserve it. I was very impressed with you. I mean, you're very disciplined, but you're also very independent in your mindset and the way you think. And I think that's good. You need to be like that.
Thank you.
So tell me how the interview went.
So it was 3 back-to-back interviews with all of the interviewers were principals, I guess. Good, okay. So partners, basically, right? So the first one was from Europe, continental Europe, and they give you in the beginning the short CVs of the people, the names of them with the photos, so you get acquainted before you meet them. And the guy came in and introduced himself. He chronologically told about his previous career, previous work experience and work experience in McKinsey. And he was really friendly and smiled.
Was he German?
No. I think he was
Swiss.
I think Swedish or Finland.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, good.
So something like that. So he was really friendly. And in the very beginning, he said, okay, I want you to tell me 3 things. First one, like your biggest achievement. Second one, your biggest failure. And third one, why McKinsey?
Hey, that's good. We practice all of that.
Except the failure stuff.
That's true. We practice weakness.
Yes. So I was like... But I thought about that a lot because I was doing research. So what I basically thought that when he said about achievement, that I have to give him my achievement story. So I went on for, 7 minutes, structuring he was really excited to know that. So failure, I told him really funny story from my high school, if you want to. Do you want to know that?
Yeah, I want to know what it is. Tell me when you failed.
So my biggest failure, I said that in high school, I ran for president of the high school. And I came short 30 votes. So I was second. I had 500 votes and the winner had 530 votes. And I think it's my biggest failure because my program was so well thought and it had great values and intentions, like, like 360 degrees feedbacks and etc. And my opponent basically literally offered free, I don't know, sweets. She said that she said that she will prolong vacations and like the break times between the classes, and that was so obvious she couldn't deliver on that because that was impossible, and people just still voted for her.
Now you've learned about politics.
Yeah, I said that it was my failure because I didn't know anything about politics.
If you tell people what they want to hear, it doesn't matter if it makes sense, they will vote for you.
Absolutely. So he laughed so badly. He was like, she offered them free candies. I was like, I just underestimated those 70-year-olds,
That is. Oh, you were 7 years old at this time.
No. Like the people who started, I was 17.
Okay.
So, but people who voted, the age starts at 7 years old and up to 18 years old.
So you ignored a very important segment of the population.
No, I didn't ignore. So I did. I went to them. I campaigned. It just wasn't something.
You just didn't offer them free candy.
Yes.
So at a very young age, you were interested in politics, I see.
17 years. So that was my first attempt.
You're still consistent. That's impressive. Okay, so that's a good story. It's actually quite funny. It's good you kept things humorous. It always helps.
Yeah, so it was my failure story. Then why McKinsey, I told him that. But I believe that McKinsey is a factory of the leaders, and I want to be one. And I need to, I really want to be a leader one day because I'm so worried about social and educational aspects and environmental aspects, which nobody seems to care about. And I believe that I can make difference in those areas. But in order to do that, I have to get some skills like problem solving and to be like, you remember the one we discussed that a leader has to be, has to solve wide variety of the problems.
Yep.
So basically that story.
Oh, that's a good story. It always wins.
Yes. So yeah, I guess it won.
Yeah, it won. Good job.
Yeah. So at that moment, I think we were about maybe 20 minutes, 15, 17 minutes into the interview. And I was like, okay, good to go. Like, we are done with it. We're going to case this now. And he was like, okay, sounds good. Now tell me about your leadership story. So do you see what happened?
Yes.
Like in the beginning, it was an icebreaker. And I don't know, went full-blown crazy with my achievement story.
No, but that's good. That's good.
So see, he got a chance to hear my two stories, basically, like the prepared ones. And I got so embarrassed. I was like, is it okay that I'm going to repeat one of those stories to the next interviewer? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Even if it was in newspaper or like if everyone knows that, I don't know that. So tell me. And
that's
we
good.
don't.
It's good to start with a nice interviewer.
Yes. Exactly.
That's the key thing. And it's very good.
Let me come back to that point because not all of them are nice.
I can imagine, yeah.
And so I told him my leadership story, the one we prepared. Yeah. He liked it a lot. He said it's an interesting, good story or interesting story, something like that. So I either he was so friendly and good, or I prefer to believe that he was just so much engaged, into the conversation.
Well, you're a very nice person, so I'm sure he was engaged.
Probably. I would like to believe that. So we went to cases, and so we were running late. I think it was about 20 minutes left. I didn't watch the time because I was so into the interviews process, but I could feel that we were running late. So it was, I guess, oil and gas. So the STEM itself, it was like you described, some of them are overload of information. So that was an overload of information. There was no much numbers, but there was so much, like the whole explanation how the whole industry, both upstream and midstream, I don't know, how it works, what are the stages, how our the parent company's horrible structure, and we weren't even interested in parent company, so it was overload of information. It took,
what industry was this?
Oil and gas.
Oh, oil and gas. Okay, yeah, that was expected, right?
Yeah, it was expected. So so it states something about profits, I think. So and I knew that So it's stated that there's some problem with profits. So what main factors we should consider to fix the profits? And I was like, and I went with the profitability framework with the mentioning of customer, market, and competition as well. So it's quantitative and qualitative. And I tried, like, I just scratch the very high level boxes. So he would see that it's actually structure.
Yeah,
but
good.
I went with the, in order not to take much time, but I went with the oral explanation of every single point. I didn't write anything. So I was like, here we will focus on that. Here we will focus on that. And in the end, I stated hypothesis, I think. Yes. And it was offshore drilling, basically.
Okay.
So I don't remember even hypothesis now.
It's fine, don't worry about it. I mean, it's an oil and gas case. You have to find profitability, decide whether it's offshore, onshore. That sounds like a pretty standard case to me.
And basically, what I was surprised about that I went with all of them, all of three of them with profitability framework. Like the extended one with your customer market, and it worked. So there was no market entrance or take the market share.
So it's just a standard profitability case.
Really standard. So,
but these are harder because they're testing foundational. You can't make a lot of mistakes because it's so simple.
Probably. So I was a little surprised because I felt like the one question on the first round was so tough, and they basically tested my industry understanding, I guess. And
it's very conceptual, I'm guessing, right?
Yes. So yeah. Concept. And okay, so the next one, I stated my hypothesis. I wasn't even and he said okay, so he didn't give me time to state what data I need, and he offered math question, basic math, how to variable costs are getting decreased, fixed costs are getting decreased. I have to calculate the effect or something. So yes, I did, and I calculated the overall effect. And he then asked to just state separately the variable cost effect and fixed cost effect. So I did.
Good.
And that was it.
Yeah, it sounds normal for a senior partner case. Yeah, you look, it's about the few basic things you have to be good at. And I think you are good. Your communication skills are very good. It's a very big thing we look for.
Okay.
So as long as you pass that, you're good. So let's look at the second interview now.
Yeah, so there was
not so friendly one.
He was horrible. He when he came into the room, it was like some darkness appeared because he wouldn't smile at all.
Wait, was he Russian?
Yes.
Oh, that explains maybe some.
And he had technical background, so I think he will. I don't know. I don't think he was intentionally so unhappy.
Just his personality, right?
Probably, yes. But I still tried to lighten the mood to be like bright and enthusiastic. He asked first question was he never told anything about himself, never asked about my background. But he said the first question he asked was why McKinsey? And that interview was in Russian. And so I answered using the same answer. But in Russian, it doesn't sound as impressive and interesting, I don't know why.
I don't know, maybe. It should be the same.
The words seem to be the same, but it just doesn't. So then he said, okay, give me your, it was personal impact story. So how I affected a person. And that was prepared. So I think that went well. But I couldn't tell. He basically sat not with his face like light up front of me, but he sat with how to say side. He said sat sideways.
Aside. He said it aside. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So like he sat in front of me, but he wouldn't look into my eyes.
Yeah, I know. He was basically facing the wall.
Exactly. And his body was facing the wall, and that was almost all the like maybe in the beginning he said like directly, but then he just went looking for a wall. So he was definitely not engaged and not happy, and he wouldn't even smile.
So what was the case about? Did he do a case with you?
Yes. I think it was a retail sales. So basically shops, supermarket or shops or something. And it was, again, for me, they had some issues. The revenue were growing, I think. No, the revenue wasn't growing. There was profitability. They were thinking if they should shut down one department or not.
What sector was this?
Supermarket, not supermarket, but clothing stores.
Clothing store, okay.
Retail, so basically retail cash. And so he basically asked, the client is asking if we should shut down the department or not. And when I started to ask the clarifying questions, like what would be the minimum threshold to make a shutdown decision? So is it just, he was like, what do you think? I was like, okay, let's assume if it is a loss-making department, we probably should shut it down. And he attacked me immediately saying, why would you think that shutdown is the only option? I was like, I didn't want to be controversial because he basically said that, that either shutting down or not. That is the decision we're looking for. So I was like, no, that's why I'm asking like the threshold, because I'm not sure that maybe we should just turn it around. So I just kind of, I don't know, walked into the trap probably. So, but I was really nice about that. So no, played like.
So he was tough with you, but he was basically, it seems to be his personality.
I think, it was his personality.
So it was one interview, just one fit or so, and then no small talk, I'm guessing, right?
With him, the small talk was in the beginning when he basically asked why McKinsey.
Okay, that was a small talk. And how long was his interview?
Every single interview was 1 hour.
Oh, 1 hour? All three of them?
All three of them, so 3 hours. Of half of them supposed to be fit, half of them supposed to be case.
So each interview was 1 hour long?
Right.
So the second guy, how long was the case with him, the tough guy?
The tough guy, probably a little longer. I think we were done with the fit part he was running late because my first interview was running a little late and he ran late. So so maybe 15-20 minutes into the interview, we finished the fit and the case was, I think, a little over an hour or a little over half an hour. Probably.
Okay, so that case, that one about the retail store was 30 minutes.
Yes, because first he was really being like you do. Remember when you want to test the decision making and reasoning behind each my statement. So he basically did that.
Oh, he was doing what I was doing, just checking everything.
Yeah. So when I was going with structure, I was like, why that? Why that?
Okay, good.
I was used to that. So I just basically explained why that and how it can affect what I think is important. A second question were basically discussion. He was probing me for different, like my industry overview, like what would you think that? What if that would happen? So it was basically discussion. But
is it what you call a what if analysis?
Yeah, probably.
Very common McKinsey tool. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, good. The second interview was tough, but you enjoyed it?
Not much. I was scared the whole time, honestly.
Well, obviously you did good. You did well, right?
Yes. So because he wasn't smiling or making any even nods in order to point to me if I'm going in the right direction.
It's what I said, anything could happen and at least we were prepared for it.
Yes. So I was prepared for that. So I wasn't caring, but some girl who had him first, she must be damaged by now.
Yeah, look, you gotta be ready for anything. But hopefully that girl is not too damaged. That would be bad for her confidence.
Right.
And your final round interview?
Final interview was with some Eastern European guy.
Yeah.
But he also spoke Russian somehow fluently. He came in, he was talking about himself, but it didn't seem like it was just small talk. So basically, I think about his background, but at that point I was so tired, so I basically didn't hear or understand half of that because I was so exhausted by that time. And after the tough interview, it was, I don't know, difficult. And so what happened? He talked. He didn't ask any questions. He said that he didn't read my CV. He didn't have time to, and And at this point, he doesn't care because if I'm here at the interview, it means I'm good. And he shouldn't be worrying about that. It should be worried only about, I don't know, testing my skills. And he asked me about my achievement and entrepreneurship story, the one which I volunteered in the very beginning. So I told him that. He, with the construction workers, remember? And he mentioned that his wife works in professional services firm, and she faced similar issues. Like she was going to business trip with a bunch of guys, and at some point she were politely asked to wait for a man, someplace after they finish the conversation, and how she was really slick about that. Like she was said okay, but that she played a weakness card, like I'm so weak, I need help card. So she basically turned that around, and she was like, "You will be amazed how easily men can be manipulated by women."
I think we all know that men are easily manipulated.
And I just smiled. I was like, "Yeah, I know."
Well, it's good. So third interview was good.
Third interview, yes, but I thought so. He was engaging a lot in my story. Like sometimes he would how to cut me and to make a comment, and I was concerned that he wasn't following the story, or I don't know, things like I was afraid that the structure will be lost for him.
Okay,
but now I understand that he wanted to do it more in more conversational style, probably. So I wasn't prepared for that much. Not prepared, but I was just so focused on telling him the whole story. So I was a little, every time he would cut me to make that nice comments about his wife or his experiences or making fun of construction workers, I was like, should I engage into conversation and forget about my story, or should I politely wait till he finish and finish my story? Because there is still a big chunk of that.
Yeah. As long as you answering the questions, I think you're fine, right?
Yeah, probably. So he was like, he wasn't interested in the actions, because the whole story I was explaining why what was important, what was reasoning, what was the stages, what is the people whom I have to convince, and then when I started to explain what exactly I did to convince construction workers, he was like, yeah, okay, so you convince them. So I was like, okay.
So he wasn't really looking at the things that we thought he would look at. He was digging for other stuff.
Probably, but he said that was not common story, but you would expect such kind of story in post-Soviet Union.
Yeah, it makes sense. So how much time did you spend on FIT with him?
Not 15, 20 minutes, I guess.
And then you went to the case, right?
Yes. So the case was, what was it? It was banking.
Okay.
And we did banking. Remember when I made a mistake putting the deposits interest in revenues when it should be in costs. So I didn't do that mistake. And when I started presenting, obviously, so it was also a profitability case. So when I started to present, he was like, so you worked in banking, right? I was like, yeah, I didn't work in banking, but
you served banks.
I audited one. And he was like, my bad, I should have read your resume before, because crap, you're basically answering everything correctly,
Well, that's good, because normally when people do a case in the sector, they know well they actually do bad at it.
Yeah, and he tried to probe me I'm missing some revenue, which is basically the difference in charge you're paying for deposits and the money you use it, interest you are earning on the money from the deposits. And I was like, no, I'm not missing it. I basically divided my revenue to two streams: interest income, and it can be from any kind of instrument, and commissions. And I did mention that there can be potential, like investment income from the shares and stuff. But I mentioned that it wasn't important.
Okay, and he was happy with all of that, obviously.
I tried to explain like what kind of like deposits, credit cards, but then I was like, he was so basically the same commissions, interest commissions. I was like, yeah, basically, so let's just divide, for simplicity, let's divide it to commissions and interest. So I think he was okay with that.
But this was a case that seems also quite conceptual, right?
It was conceptual. Like the second and the third interviews, they weren't reading anything. There was not much information provided.
It's their own projects they're discussing with you.
You think?
Yeah, definitely. Look, when you're a partner...
No. They did have some, they were referring to some paper.
Yeah, but it's probably not a case.
The third one, it was the case because he provided me with the graph.
Yeah.
It was some fictional banks' names. So it was...
No, what I'm saying, it's probably based on his real project.
Probably,
So
yeah.
It's a case that's based probably on his real project. Even though they've kind of sanitized it and so on.
Yes, so yeah. And so we discussed that and he was like, crap, that's my bad. I shouldn't have given you.
But you see, the reason people speak to you like that is because you have a nice personality.
Yes, he did say crap, but that was his emotion.
No, but you know, because if you meet someone who's very nervous and anxious and difficult, it's very hard to be friendly with them.
I felt that on my second interview. I was battling till the end with my smiles and enthusiasm. He probably gave in the very end because when we parted our ways, he wished me luck. And I think he smiled.
You think he smiled? We're not sure.
It was a glimpse of smile, I think. So I was like, okay, almost.
Well, it's also sometimes, I know I am hard on people that I like. If I dislike someone, I'm pretty easy on them.
But he was like that from the very beginning.
Maybe he liked you from the very beginning.
No, he was like before he even saw me. And like, I don't know.
Maybe he smelled your perfume before you even entered the room.
No, I think it's just his personality. So he's not mean or anything. He's just tough. Yes. In the end, I didn't ask any questions, even though from the first interview or second interview, because he was so tough, I tried to connect with him. So I basically asked questions when we have the common grounds. He was from, I think, some technical background. So I was like, did your technical background help you a lot in your work in McKinsey? I'm asking because I have technical background too, you know? So I did my best to connect. You
did your best. Eventually it worked, right?
Apparently, yes. So, and the third interviewer, so the concept as a structuring first question. The second one was, he gave me a graph and it was like one page, one graph. And it stated that it's just a half of graph because it stated 1/2, meaning the first page out of 2. So I tried to analyze it backwards and forwards, and there was no insights whatsoever there. It was just basic information. So I just started to speculating that if depending on our objective to acquire those companies, we can go with that if we need that, and we can go with that if we need that. And also that is just a static data, and I would like to see some growth and potential, just speculating. And in the end I said, I'm trying really hard, but I think that I'm missing some huge insight here. Or I'm just not seeing any huge insights here, I said. And he said, maybe there is none. I was like, that is such a mean thing to do,
No, but it's normal, right? Remember, he said some exhibits don't have any value.
Probably, but why give me one? Give me 2 so I can draw some insights,
Well, it worked, right? You were able to move past it.
Yeah, I was. So I basically said, okay, it just, when you mentioned that it's okay when you're struggling, it's okay to ask for help. So when I mentioned that I don't see any insight, I was honest and basically prompting him to help me.
And you see, you don't get penalized for it. They actually like it. Honesty is very highly valued, right?
Yes, definitely. He was, I think, really relieved that I asked that, and I wouldn't spend more time
wasting time and reading every data point and making up nonsense.
And the third question with him was, I think it was some math, and I think also about cutting fixed and variable cost. I'm not sure, but I think I did a mistake. I forgot the last step.
Oh, doesn't matter.
I didn't do the mistake, but I calculated
you overlooked
the right
something.
Yeah, so I forgot the last step. But when I was presenting him my calculations, I was like, oh wait, that's not like we have to calculate it for the other amount. And he, I think we were aligning race, so he cut me and said, so yeah, that is for that, and what would be for that amount? And it was like multiplied by 3. And I'm not sure, I thought that it would be counted against me because he cut me, and I wasn't sure if he understood that I got my mistake myself. When I was presenting that. With the second guy, I think my weakness was his last question was brainstorming and math, 2 in 1. And I started to brainstorm first with the 4P, 4 P's like price, product, promotion. And then I realized that there's some math involved. So I went with the math question, and it seemed that they were 2 separate questions, but somehow he managed to put it into one, because math question and it was actually, so you should first do the math and then how you're fixing that. And because I realized that it was 2 questions in one, I didn't present math questions the way I do. I usually present the equation first. And when I was like, are you okay with that? And then I proceed with the calculations. And that wasn't done properly. And when I brainstormed the 4 P's, there is no nice way to put 4 P's in structure. So I was worried about that. So there was no boxes, just like 4 items. And I told everything that I think would be relevant in all 4 of them. So I was worried that he wouldn't see that I brainstormed in structured way. So about second and third interviewer. So I think my mistake was like in the very end that I didn't do the last step, and he might have not realized that I would eventually. Well, I did figure out that I did mistake.
Okay, but it doesn't sound like there's any bad things that happened in the interview, right?
It's a small things.
Yeah.
On the last interview, I was, I'm not used to be so talking and thinking for 3 straight hours, being, I don't know, so enthusiastic and emotionally involving and nice. I don't know, it just hard maintenance, not hard maintenance, but it's just emotionally difficult and tough. And in the very end, I felt like I'm starting to lose my focus. I wasn't being really insightful.
But you were tired as well, right?
That is because I was tired. And I think
normal.
He was tired as well, because sometimes, even in the very beginning, he talked more than the second interviewer, and it wasn't much related to work or to my experience. So he just shared something, I don't know, common. Not the news, but I don't even remember because I was so tired. I wasn't paying attention.
But basically, bottom line is you built good relationships, at least 2 of the interviewers, right?
The funny thing is, when the last interviewer was leaving, he said something, and that shocked me a lot. He said, okay, I probably will be the one who will call you with the result. I asked not to. I asked when he will do that, because they mentioned that they can do it till Monday evening. I was like, because, it's not nice being stressed the whole weekend. He was like, no, we'll try our best to call you tomorrow. And there are rare cases when we do it on Monday, like when we make you be stressed out the whole weekend. But I think he tried to explain me that despite the fact that he will be the one who will be calling me, because he was my last interviewer, that the decision is going to be collegial. They all are going to make a decision. Not him, but in his Russian, he told that in Russian. It sounded like I will be calling you, but you should know that I will be calling because it would be collegial decision and not mine.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't mention not mine alone. And it did sound like he wouldn't be recommending me or something. So I was like, oh my God, I was so wrong. He probably didn't like me. Yeah.
But that's funny how small language issues change everything.
Yeah, so I was okay because I did realize that like there was like the 80% chance he just didn't forgot to say alone, like mine alone. So, but it was still making me a little nervous. At this time, you pay attention to every little detail.
No, I agree. But I mean, obviously, language is always an issue. I mean, especially with you, for example, because English is not your first language, but you were speaking Russian there. I'm guessing he probably speaks English most of the time as well because he's in the Middle East.
Yes. And I think we made case in English, and I think my story just like the feed portion was in Russian, but the case we did in English.
Very good. And so what happened after the third interview? Did you go for a tour of the office or go home to your hotel in this case?
After the third, like in the very end, I told him, like, if he asked if I had any questions, and I knew that he has time because there was no interviews after me, like they had to have a break or something. So I asked if he think that my maternity leave would be an issue for McKinsey, and he said no. He mentioned that again, his wife, I think, but that they don't have kids yet. I don't know in what context, but he said that McKinsey Moscow has a couple of partners, female partners who have families, like a lot of kids, and they are still managed to be successful.
Okay, good.
So he said that my maternity leave might affect the position. So I think at that point he was already thinking that if they are going to make me a proposal, that would be a lesser one. So I was like, so I was kind of prepared, I think he kind of prepared me at that point.
Okay, good. Well, at least he was honest about it, right?
Yes, he was. So yeah.
And so what happened after the interview?
So you fill out the feedback forms, and I didn't have that after first round interview. You give feedback about interview itself, about interviewer, and overall about the recruiting process, I guess. For every single interviewer. So I did that, and then I waited for a recruiter to come, but she never did.
Yeah, sounds like that.
They just forgot about me, I think, because maybe my interview ran a little longer than everyone else. So the other two candidates, and I got a chance to meet them.
Oh, that's nice.
Accidentally in the very beginning, and it wasn't purposeful. So we had the chance to chat a little. All three of us were female.
Yeah, good. Equality.
So I was thinking that, I don't know, maybe we'll just meet up and discuss our experiences, but they already left. And
they were terrified.
Probably poor girl who got the second interviewer first. Maybe he was just unhappy about her performance. I don't know. Maybe he's just like that.
Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe his wife is leaving him. Who knows, right?
So yeah, I left the forms and just went to the hotel.
So they told you the same day, right?
Yes. So my interview finished at 12 midday, basically. And they called me at 5:30 p.m., I guess.
That's a very good sign when the firm calls you the same day. It means they actually liked you.
But I think it's for they do it for everyone.
No, they don't do it for everyone. They don't do it for everyone. Because in simple mathematics, right? Sometimes they want, let's assume the office wants some people, right? But the people they want to give the offer to doesn't accept it. So they sometimes come back to the second best person and they'll give them an offer if the first person declines it for some reason.
You sure?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
That is so nice to be the second one.
No, but it happens sometimes like that.
How does the voting system go?
There's no voting system. This is the way it works, right? Very rarely does everyone agree. It's not like a straight vote where everyone votes and it's like 2 out of 1 or 3. It doesn't work that way. It's not like, even if someone gets 2 out of 1 votes, the two people voting can say, look, although we like her, we're not sure, so maybe we should wait, or maybe we should decline. It's not a vote, it's more a discussion. The key is you shouldn't raise any serious negative issues with the interviewer. It's very rarely a straightforward decision where everyone agrees. I can tell you, if everyone agrees, man, you must be good. Or likable, but it's very rare.
Interesting.
You will see that when you join the firm and go through interview, recruiting, and so on. It's not a straightforward vote. So yeah, the fact you got the call on the same day is a very good sign.
Good. And okay, when he called, he said that I thought that he will give me a feedback, but he said, congratulations, we would like to, you passed the interview, we would like to offer you senior business analyst position. And I hope you will accept that. So, yeah.
Wait, did you accept already?
They never sent me an offer.
Oh, you're going to play it cool, right? That's good.
No, I just, I said, thank you. I hope I won't disappoint you. So basically, yeah,
Let me ask you, so let me ask you a question. Why are you not, you mentioned that you don't want any conflict in your house by not working at BCG, right? What conflict do you expect to happen? Why are you not considering BCG?
Today, I confirmed with the friend of mine that BCG doesn't have an office in the city I'm interested in.
That's true. So you have a good excuse not to apply to BCG.
Yes. So yeah, let me go with that, please.
All I'm saying is that you must always keep your options open.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, I'm happy. I wanted to get to McKinsey. I was worried about my gap in work experience. I thought that applying in one step lower than I potentially can get would actually be a good thing. And I raised it with you because I thought it actually opens me an MBA opportunity. Maybe
you still want to do an MBA?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, I like having that option.
No, the firm will pay for it, so you should do it. Just go to a good school.
Yes. So yeah, good school, definitely. So yes. And I think that, as you mentioned, that I'm confident if I will do well, I'll get promoted to maybe faster than other people.
If you do well, you'll get promoted very fast. I mean, I was getting promoted very rapidly. There was this point in my life where I just stopped looking at my salary anymore.
It just was growing so much.
Yeah, I just stopped looking at my salary. I mean, I'm not saying this to be arrogant. And what I'm saying is that a lot of people, when they get in, they start telling me how they'll negotiate with the firm, how they can negotiate a package, how they can negotiate a moving allowance, how their friend got this and they did. And I said, look, don't care about those things. You do well and you can just stop looking at your salary.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I don't worry about those things. All you must worry about is doing a good job. You just want to arrange your life around doing a good job. Now, some words of advice for you.
Exactly. So my first question would be, what are your advice?
My words of advice for you is that I think that you are very different from most of our female candidates. And the reason you're different is because you actually had a tough life. You have been trained to be independent, right?
I was okay.
Okay, you were okay. You had an okay life. Well, not tough, but I mean, you compared to a typical Western life, you've had to do things by yourself at an early age, right?
I think it's just because I'm just so ambitious.
Yes, that's right. I mean, that's part of it. You're ambitious. You've been exposed to things. Now, to me, that's a very good attribute because it means you think for yourself. You don't just do what someone says. You kind of take in everything and you come up with what you think is the best answer for you. And I think you want to continue doing that. The reality is that getting into McKinsey is a very big accomplishment because obviously very few people get in, right? Once you get into McKinsey, it becomes competitive again in a whole new way.
I can imagine. I'm so scared.
No, don't be scared. I'm not telling you this to be scared. I'm telling you this because I think you can handle it. Once you get into McKinsey, you do your first project and people always think, I can go to any other project I want. It's the same thing again. You finish your project, let's assume you did a banking project and you want to go and do a project for an oil company. The oil engagement, EM and AP and even the partner, they are going to talk to your team on the banking project. They're going to almost vet you again. They're going to almost interview you again. And that happens every time at McKinsey until you develop a very good reputation. So once you get in, it's not as if you got into McKinsey, you can do whatever you want. You've got to treat this as if you just got into a part of McKinsey and you've now proved yourself to move to other parts and other partners. No matter how nice you are, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how flirtatious you are, if you are dumb, you're going to be leaving very quickly.
Absolutely. Okay.
It's a very important point because I see it all the time. It's very funny how when it happens to males and females. I'm using females as an example because obviously I'm a male and they would do this with me. But when attractive female consultants, their lives are going bad, they think they can get away with things. They cannot do that, right? We're very friendly towards consultants provided you do well.
Absolutely.
You do badly, we're not your friend. I can tell you that right now. So I want you to push aside, automate your life. Did I mention that to you?
No.
Automate your life. Things that you now do yourself, try to automate it. For example, paying of bills, automate those things. Delivery of products, rather than going shopping helping automate those things. Checking your bank statements every weekend because that's what you do, automate it. Automate as much as you can so that you have more free time. You will work very hard Monday to Friday. If you are ambitious, you will work Saturday and Sunday as well. Don't believe that nonsense where they say, oh, you don't have to work weekends. And let me tell you, the ones who get promoted fast work on weekends.
I think so, yeah.
I worked every weekend. And it's not because I was slow, it's because I was trying to try to do my projects better, figure out things other people couldn't do. There was a period in my life where I never took a weekend off. I wasn't crying and complaining about it, I just liked working. I mean, such interesting projects we were doing, and other people would take their weekends off, and the firm will tell you, we encourage you to take weekends off. That's for the average person.
I agree.
You know, obviously you've got children, you've got a husband, manage it, but keep time to work on a weekend. There are a lot of McKinsey alums, thousands of them who amount to nothing.
Allowance?
No, what I mean is they amount to nothing. When they leave McKinsey, they really don't end up being successful.
Oh, so, okay, the alumni of McKinsey?
Yeah, there are a lot of successful alumni, but we don't hear about the unsuccessful ones, right?
Right.
There are a lot of them running around doing little projects, starting their own companies, but they really don't amount to anything. You have to be very strategic here. What you want to do now is, one of the things I give most clients to do is to write the resume you want in 5 years.
Interesting.
Do it now. And then ask yourself, is this what I want and how would I get there? It doesn't have to be accurate. It may end up being only 50% accurate, may even be 80% accurate, but you have to be comfortable that what you want to achieve within 5 years is both, you know, something tangible that you can put onto paper, and then you can start thinking about how you get there. It can be 10 years. It's up to you. You ideally want to go for partnership.
Yeah, I think so.
You can leave early if you want, but there's a lot of things that they only teach you as a partner.
Interesting.
I mean, a lot of people say, oh, I worked at McKinsey. I understand analysis. I understand strategy. You don't understand strategy if you worked at McKinsey and you didn't make it to at least principal level.
Wow, okay.
There's a whole lot of things that comes into a strategy that is more than analysis. Junior people just understand analysis. They just know how to break down things, but they don't know how to put it together. So don't be one of those people who works for 3 years at McKinsey. Look, you'll be very successful because of, you know, you're in Eastern Europe / Central Asia. The resume will be in a heavy demand, but you get more opportunities once you become a partner. Your training is also radically different once you become a partner. Okay?
Wow, okay.
You need to minimize your family in the way you present your profile. Don't talk about your husband.
Okay.
No one should know about you. Don't ever say your husband. Never even mention him, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to be the one showing baby pictures and talking about your baby. I'm sure your kids are very beautiful. But you see, as a woman, you get boxed.
Yeah, I read that. Remember, I read those issues in the very beginning when we discussed that.
And the way to do it is not to talk about your family. If you want to go home for something, let's assume your kids have a, piano recital, right? And you promise them you'd go there. Don't tell people I need to go for my kid's piano recital. Say you have something personal to attend to. That's all people need to know.
Absolutely, I agree.
Two reasons. You build resentment from people who don't have kids. They feel you're taking advantage of it. And two, you start becoming the mom who needs to go home for the kids.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes some women do it because it's easier to ask for permission to go see their kids than to just go home. So they do it on purpose, but it's a double-edged sword because they're seen as moms. You don't want to be categorized as a mom. No matter what anyone says, it's not going to be good for you.
I agree.
So no talking about your husband. No one should even know you're married. You walk past your husband, you treat him like anyone else. And no talking about your kids.
Okay.
Right? And I give that advice to anyone, even people without kids. I say, don't talk about your personal life. Because if you talk about it too much, you're seen as someone who is, not worried about their work. And you get defined by someone who has done this stuff on their personal life. So you want to minimize that. If you want to talk about your personal life, talk about your hobbies or something like that, right? But not about your family. McKinsey is still a male-dominated. It's always consulting. You're going to be dealing mostly with male partners and male clients. And sexism is still alive, right?
I'm actually more comfortable working with male.
You would be. You're a female.
Right? Okay, interesting.
All females are comfortable with males because psychologically you are trained to work amongst many males. You are not trained to work amongst females. And that's normal. There's nothing good or bad. It's just a behavioral outcome out of the way society has trained women. You spend your whole life seeing males on TV, being trained by males, working with males. It's natural you'll develop an ability to work with males. So females actually can't work together. And that's one of the things I would also advise you is to get male mentors, not females.
Absolutely.
And don't get female mentors. They've always been trouble. Again, not because females are difficult, because they're not equipped to handle other females.
I agree.
Right? In time, that will change, but for now, it's not like that. The other thing you want to do is when you develop, you're going to continuously develop yourself, right? Don't assume that training is going to help you much.
Really? Okay.
The training is terrible. No one goes to training to learn anything. They go to training because for McKinsey, it's really networking, getting people to know each other, but no one learns anything on training. So when you go for training and you're really worried about things and you feel you may be missing some things, try to learn it, but don't kill yourself if you don't get it. The real training takes place on the engagement. And the engagement is going to be hard because you're going to have very little support. You'll be surprised at how little support the firm will give you. Mm-hmm. It's like throwing you in the deep end of a pool and you're going to have to figure it out. So pace yourself. Don't burn yourself out on training, reading. Be prepared to work hard on the engagement. Mm-hmm. And have complete... Do you know the difference between accountability and responsibility?
Responsibility when you are responsible for the process, mm-hmm. Accountability for the result and the process.
The better way to say it is that the responsible person does what they are told. The accountable person figures out what needs to be done.
So I should be accountable, right?
Yeah, and another way to say it is the responsible person finds the answer. Mm-hmm. The accountable person finds the problem to be solved. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to see who is going to make partner early, the ones who are accountable. If a partner would ask you to do something, you don't just do it because the partner asks you to do it. You figure out what is the implication of doing this? How is it going to fit into the overall analysis? Does it make sense? Can I finish it in time? A lot of people just do things the partner asks them to do. And you're going to see that they're not going to make it in the long term. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You need to be accountable. Always remember that. Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard. The second thing you're going to realize is McKinsey is not going to be as good as you think it is.
Okay.
That's always surprising to people. They get in there and they think, oh my God, it's McKinsey. They have the answers to everything. That's the biggest mistake you're going to make. Assume no one knows anything. I know it sounds very harsh, but it's very true. Partners are equipped to solve a problem if they took the time to solve it. Mm-hmm. But they don't have the answers when you go to them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They don't have these answers and they're not making you suffer by not giving it to you. So if you assume that, you know what, people know a lot less than I think, you'll be very well off because you know you have to rely on yourself. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, when I was 24, that was my attitude to studies. Mm-hmm. I'd go in there and I'd say, okay, I'm running this. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do it, right? I'd sit down with some partners and I'd say, look, what you've told me is very interesting. I'm going to think about it. And I'm going to see how I'm going to fit this in and I'll let you know if I can fit it in. And if I can fit it in, how I need to make adjustments to make sure it fits the work already done. Now, some partners find it very surprising, right? Because they assume that, well, they should just do it. But the smart ones, the ones who are very senior and understand the way it works, like that. And they like the fact that you are taking control of things. I didn't learn that immediately. The first 2 projects I had were bad, but I learned that after my second project. Mm-hmm. The reason I struggled is because I assumed that someone else was accountable. And my career took off like a rocket ship once I realized I was accountable. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't listen to rumors. You're going to hear people telling you this partner is bad, this partner is like that. You don't listen to any of those things. Mm-hmm. You go with the partner you're most comfortable with, even if people say the worst things about him or her.
But how do you know if you are going to be comfortable with that person before you went to engagement with him?
It's very simple. The partner who will be most comfortable with you is the dumbest partner there.
Okay.
It's that simple. The partners who are struggling always try hard to get good people to work with them. They have to try harder. They're like the ugly person at the bar. They got to try harder to get people to speak to them, right?
Right.
Same philosophy. Don't go, you could go with the most ambitious partners, but remember, the best partners are going to have lots of consultants trying to work with them. You're just going to be one of many good consultants. And if you like that, then it's fine. If you like to be in that environment, that's fine. But I never went for that because I didn't like that kind of, it was very political, I found it.
Is there on engagement the value from partner? Are you learning something from him? If it kind of makes sense to go with the smartest one?
No, I'll tell you why.
Uh-huh.
It's a very important point. You are going to be observing a partner and you're going to be learning from him, right? It's very rare he's going to sit down with you and answer your questions, right?
I agree.
So when you're learning from a partner, you are learning from a partner by observing him, not by a one-on-one interaction. That's very rare. So you have to observe a partner that's going to be doing things that you find useful, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what I found with the most senior partners is that while they are very nice to observe, they actually don't do the things that I need to learn. So, for example, the most senior partners, I've seen them in meetings, they're very impressive, but they don't actually get involved in helping the team structure analysis. They don't get involved in talking the client through how to break down issues. They don't get involved in reviewing stuff. And they are very senior and they're very good. So what I did is I very carefully focused on principals, because principals are partners, non-equity partners, so they are partners, but they're also very much involved in working with the teams. That way I picked someone who was junior enough as a partner, relatively speaking, so he's going to do things that I need to learn, versus someone very senior. I also picked someone who I felt was struggling to get traction, not because he was bad, but because he may just be working with a difficult client or a difficult sector. So don't assume that a bad partner is someone who's weak at skills. They could just be in a horrible situation.
I agree.
They just came in and they were told you need to fix this sector which is doing badly, or there's a client here we're struggling with. Obviously, don't pick a partner that's terrible. It's skills. But you got to pick a partner who is struggling to gain traction. There's a difference. Yeah, they're more grateful for your help.
Yeah, I mentioned. Okay.
Yeah, seriously, I've had different partners, and the ones who I thought were very, superstars and everyone wanted to talk to them, I found they were less helpful than one would think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
They were very nice, they were very good at what they did, but really they never made time for me. That was a big issue. They never made time. And what's going to distinguish whether you become very successful is whether some partner is going to make time for you to teach you things. All the stuff they teach you in training is okay, but the stuff that you learn from the partner, think of the things I've told you, how many counterintuitive things I've told you. Think of how many unusual things I've told you that you've never considered before. You don't get that in training. So when you work with a partner, you're going to pick up more things like that. But it won't be in the training. It'll only come from the partner. And you got to work with a partner who needs your help, so he works with you more often one-to-one. You get more exposure to him or her. Make sense?
Yeah. One question. I got an experience in PricewaterhouseCoopers. There was one manager. She wasn't bright. So when she realized that I'm good, I'm smart, she just grabbed me and stuffed me to all her projects. And I was suffocated because I was learning anything from her. She wasn't helpful at all. And there was no way to get away from her without, any conflicts. You don't want to get away from her with the conflicts because she basically give you a bad recommendation to other managers and they wouldn't work with you. So my question is how, if such situation occurs in McKinsey, how do you do that?
If that happens at McKinsey, there's one good thing here. It means that you've already proven yourself, right?
To one person.
Yeah, but that's fine. Now, the way to handle this is it's likely going to happen given the size of the office and there's one or two dominant clients there, right? So it's likely going to happen. The way to handle this is that if you speak to the partner and say that you really enjoy working with him or her, but you want to work on more different kinds of either functional projects or sector projects to round out your skills, they will be okay with it. They're not going to be unhappy about it. They can't really keep you. The way it works is no one can control an associate or consultant. You can move around. So if you get close to someone and have that discussion, it will be fine. You don't have to worry about, retribution or people becoming angry with you. That won't happen.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. That's not going to happen, right? Don't specialize in a sector, whatever you do. Don't do that. Don't do it early and don't specialize in a function very early. You don't know what you like yet. Or you don't even know what you're good at yet. You'll still learn that as time proceeds. People always say, I want to do strategy. They all say that when they start. But the reality is that you may never do corporate strategy at McKinsey. It happens to many people. You may do business unit strategy, you may do market entry strategy, but to do corporate strategy means you have to be on the A team, right?
Yes.
You have to be the best of the best. Those are the ones who get into corporate strategy. So when you start off, just constantly prove yourself. If you are being put onto only operation studies, it's bad. Even if you've got a good relationship with the partner. If you're being put on only strategy studies, it's still bad because you're not learning operations and organizational design. But don't engage the partner directly and speak to them. The worst thing is when someone wants to be taken off my team, but they don't engage me. I don't like it. I remember once I was training this associate principal for 4 years. And I was grooming him to basically be my second in command there, right? To run corporate finance. And this guy, he wanted to move out of strategy to operations. But he didn't come to me. He went to his friend who was another senior partner. And he had that senior partner send me a message.
Oh my God. Okay.
And there was no even question in my mind. I just said, take him off the team. It's a betrayal. Because I spent a lot of time developing that guy. When I was in the firm, I had a reputation for training people very well. So other partners used to sometimes send people to me just to get them trained. And I spent a lot of time with this guy on weekends with his family and so on because that's how I develop relationships with people. So when he said he wanted to leave and he never approached me directly, there was no even doubt that I'm going to say, take him out. Because to me, it's a betrayal.
I agree.
If you want to leave, it's fine. I could even arrange to put you onto an operations study. I could put you onto an operations study for 2 years if you wanted it. But you must never not approach people directly. It's like resigning with an SMS, right? You don't do that. It's bad. So if you build a good relationship, you just talk to the partner and they'll be okay with it.
Okay. So another question: how, like the very first project you're put on, like, are you like, do they let you choose or do they assign you?
Generally speaking, they will tell you these projects are available and they'll ask you
which one
you prefer. Even if they assign you onto a project, they know they can't assign you. So they'll word it in such a way that, this great project has come along and I'm going to put you onto it. Because they can't say you have to be on it. They can't say that because you have a choice to say no. You have a choice to say no, but I wouldn't do that because your first project's going to be okay. As long as you're not joining a project late, where it's like 50% done and you're struggling to catch up. Ideally, you want to join a project that's starting. Provided you're joining a project that's starting, you are okay. Because if you join a project too late, you don't know how things are done and you're catching up, which means you're really not going to be able to add value.
Absolutely.
I was a troubleshooter at the firm. So as a partner, they'd send me to problematic clients, right? So I would always come in late, but I had the seniority to change things. As sort of an associate, an analyst, and so on, you won't have that ability. So if you come in late, you basically end up doing PowerPoint and so on because you're not going to be controlling everything. So my only advice is accept whatever they give you because honestly, it doesn't matter. But make sure you're not accepting something where you're starting late. That will not be fun for you.
Absolutely. Okay.
And you know the way the firm works. They don't say things like, oh, she started late, let's give her a second chance. They don't work that way. They just assess you on what you did. So be aware of that.
Okay. And what should I focus on exactly on my first project, hypothetically?
You need to focus on three things, right? One is the analysis. You got to be good at it. Now, if you're good at the analysis, you don't get any benefit. I'll tell you that right now. It's not like we sit down in a performance review and say, wow, Assel was amazing at doing this customer segmentation. That's the first thing. You have to be good at it. But it only matters if you're able to draw insights from that. Okay?
So analysis for the sake of analysis doesn't work.
Doesn't work. In fact, you get punished severely. So the first thing is analysis for the sake of analysis is really bad. And I can show you how to do analysis. There's many techniques. There's one very powerful technique to use, right? We want to see the insight. And the way we check your insight is through your storyboards. Man, it's always brutal when you're dealing with associates and analysts the first time, the way we review storyboards, because they don't expect it. They don't expect that I'm going to just read the headlines and I'm not going to look at the content. Sometimes I'll send back an associate 7 times to redo their slides and I've not even looked at the content. I've just looked at the headlines. And they're so shocked. They say, but you haven't looked at my slides. And I always tell them, if your story is wrong, why do I even have to look at the content? Why do I need to assess the content when the story is clearly wrong? So first thing is you have to be good at analysis, but more important, you have to use that analysis to come up with good storyboards. This is very important, Assel.
Okay.
Storyboarding is so important. You cannot fathom how critical it is.
Okay.
If you have a great story from your data, you can dazzle any client. If you've got great insights, but you can't convert it to a storyboard, no one's going to understand that you have great insights. You can take the most complex issue and make it compelling just in the way you tell your story.
Interesting.
So storyboarding is supremely important. And actually storyboarding is, think of it as written communication. I would also want you to be good at verbal communication, the way you communicate in general, right? I think you are good at communication, but I want you to be better at it. So first thing is analysis, second thing is storyboard. Now the third thing is actually the number one reason people don't make it. It's what I call operational hygiene factors. Do you know what that is?
No.
Let's assume you book a meeting with a client, right? Teleconference. And you arrive 5 minutes late for that teleconference.
Oh, nobody likes that.
The client will be angry. Let's assume there's a meeting being held with the top 200 executives of a bank. The top 200 executives, all the partners are there and they're presenting. And you send your slides in a format that can't be read on the PowerPoint.
Oh, that's bad.
Those are what I call operational hygiene factors. Those are the things that get you fired. Now, people never focus on that. No one ever talks about that. But that third category is the highest probability of where you're going to mess up. Most people I see who get managed out mess up there. You'd have to be pretty bad to be managed out for the thinking. But the thing is that the kind of first issues, analysis and insights, you kind of only see it after 1 year if it's an issue. Maybe you see it earlier, but the firm gives you more time to build it. The one around operational hygiene factors, we see it in the first day. It's a really big issue.
I understand. Okay, yeah.
Anything else? I'm sure you have other questions.
I don't know. No, I just don't know the company inside yet. So
yeah, don't worry about it. Don't
so
worry about all these activities people do and setting up social functions. You just focus on your work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You don't have to do anything else. Just focus on your work and you will be fine.
Okay.
You can always ask me if you need any help on anything, right?
Absolutely, I would. I won't be shy about that, Michael, honestly.
Yeah, you can always ask me because I know it can be quite, not traumatic, but it can be unsettling the first time you start.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know what you don't know or you don't know what to do. It's easy once you know it. And there are many shortcuts that I can show you to figure out things.
That would be great.
So now, have you told your family?
Yes.
Are they happy?
My mom doesn't understand. So
of course, she probably thinks McKinsey is a clothing company or something.
No, but I said that I was offered the starting position. Mm-hmm. And she was like, are you going to be okay on starting position? You kind of bossy.
Did your mom use the word bossy? Did your mom use the word bossy?
She said, you like to manage people a lot.
That's funny. Your mom knows you, Assel.
Of course she does. I was like, that's okay, Mom.
So that's good. And your husband? He must be happy.
Yes. He is. I was worried about the position because I didn't know what it entails. And he said, that's absolutely okay. It's not an issue.
Don't worry about the position. It's what you do with the position.
I wasn't worried about the position. I was worried that you won't be satisfied with that.
It's a process, right?
Right.
I always tell people, I don't even care if you get into McKinsey. Don't start celebrating because that's not the goal here. The goal is what happens after McKinsey. After,
you've started working? Or
no, after you leave McKinsey.
Oh, I kind of hoping it won't be a question for me.
No, but it's what happens afterwards. Where do you go after McKinsey?
Right.
Because there are a lot of partners who just retire and do nothing. Even partners, right? You see it all the time. They retire and they kind of serve on boards and do some nonsense work. They start some little company. They serve some weird role, but they don't really do things that matter. If you have these skills, you are like a highly trained surgeon. You got to do something meaningful with it. So for me, you're going to McKinsey, that's great, but it's step one of a 10-step process. And that's the way we got to see it. It's 10 steps, and one day you'll be president. And
hopefully,
if you want to be president, you will be president. You just decide what you want to do, right? Life is a matter of choice. We live in the golden age of mankind. You can do anything you want. No one stops you.
Right.
So keep in touch. I'll assume that, as you get closer to the start date, you want to speak, you let me know. And we can sort of build more time for you to do that, right?
That would be great.
So why don't you do this? Once you get your offer, the offer should be standard, but I would recommend you just get someone to look at it for you, right?
Like lawyer, you mean?
No, not a lawyer. I mean, get your husband to just look at it.
Okay.
Just make sure, because sometimes firms make small changes. I'm not saying they did anything bad, but get someone who knows the country to look at it. Because, for example, even when people ask me to look at their offer letters, I always say, look, I can look at the United States, Canada, UK, Australia, all the English-speaking countries. But any other part of the world, it's going to be a little bit different. There are little things that are common to your country that get someone who knows kind of how offer letters are structured there.
What things we are looking for?
The things we are looking for is, did they offer you a relocation allowance? Do they offer you a signing bonus? Do they offer you the right base salary?
What is right base?
Well, I don't know what the right base is for
okay.
that country.
Right. You mean the amount of salary? I thought it was
I can find out very easily. I know I have someone who just joined the office 4 days ago or something like that. And I think she was senior analyst. No, I think she was associate, actually.
That's okay, because I mean...
you will know. You'll be able to find out.
No. Not even if it would be little, I just won't negotiate that.
No, I know you won't negotiate, and I don't want you... Don't negotiate, but at least know.
You think?
Yes.
I think I'll be disappointed if I won't be...
My first salary was lower than what other people had received. I didn't let it bother me. I didn't argue with the firm. I just ignored everyone and really focused on my work. It affected me a little bit, but not a lot, because I could see how committed the principal was to helping me. He really helped me a lot. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want to know it's okay,
But okay, if I'll decide to know, I'll ask you.
Yeah, so I think you can do that. But it's not a big deal, right? And then once you know your start date, let me know.
I don't want you to commit so much resources because I'm already thankful so much. I'm really thankful for you, for your help and support. And I don't want to take too much of your resources.
So I've said this before, and I mean it. I've never seen someone with 5 years maternity leave rejoin any of the firms.
Mm-hmm.
There's no precedent for this.
Unique profile. Okay.
Unique profile. I don't want you to, I don't think you will struggle. I believe you'll be very successful because you have, I think, the good side of the former Soviet Union and the good side of Russia and so on. You're very tough, but you're also very positive.
Mm-hmm.
And committed and determined. It's one of the reasons I like working with former Soviet Union female clients because they get things done, right? You can put them anywhere and they will fight their way out of it.
Yes.
And it's a trait of all former Soviet Union clients have. They just get the job done. So, look, you did very well. I knew you'd get in. I wasn't too concerned about it. My only issue when you were going through the program is I didn't want your confidence to suffer.
Okay.
Because I am a very tough person.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt at times maybe I was pushing you too hard.
That's okay. At times I did felt like my confidence was destroyed completely. But in the end, I mean, we did get the offer. So
yes. So you see, confidence is a little bit overrated as long as you have the skill to get there.
Right. Yes, I agree.
You don't worry. You're going to have the same thing when you're at McKinsey. You're going to worry, I don't have the confidence. And I'm not going to worry about that. As long as you can do it and you do it, don't worry about how you feel about doing it. The good feelings will come later when the project goes well. But the starting point is always a little bit rocky. But don't worry too much about it.
Okay, great.
Okay, so enjoy yourself. I'm very proud of you, by the way. I never maybe said that before, but I am.
Thank you. I never probably thanked you. So
you thanked me enough. You thanked me by getting in. That's the most important thing. I am proud of you because I really was impressed with the way you manage your life. You send your kids away when you need to study. You keep your life in check. It's very rare to find someone that is so in control of things.
Thank you.
So enjoy your weekend. Just let me know when you start and then we'll arrange everything, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.